This is going to be more of a general overview because this is how this Burris AR 3x magnifier came to me in this Unity mount with no box. This isn't really going to be an excellent review for you guys because Burris claims that these are discontinued. I had found these on some websites, but God only knows if they're actually in stock. But the price that they were going for is around 230 bucks. So if you're interested in this, hopefully you could find one. If not, hopefully on the secondhand market. Burris does have a pretty decent warranty, same as Steiner. They function out of Greenlee, Colorado. So if you do find one of these and you use it, hopefully you won't have to send it in. But if you do, at least Burris has a decent warranty, and it's lifetime against the optic, not against the original purchaser. So there's always that. Besides the price, which is around 230 bucks, like I said new, the weight on this, Burris claims, is around 12 ounces. Now, the Unity mount is around 5, so this should be around... Oh, I guess they're including 12 ounces on their website based on the magnifier and the mount. So this little magnifier is roughly 5.5 to 6 ounces at its heaviest. So really not that heavy. So yeah, this is definitely less than 12 ounces as a unit. I'm just silly like that. No idea where these are made. I would assume China or the Philippines at best, but it's a pretty slim profile magnifier. It's very, very small on the outside, and it's fairly compact. It's a little bit over 4 inches. Eye relief, they claim, is about 2.5 inches, but it seems a lot closer than that to my eye. As far as what we have with the rear eyepiece, very fine threads on the back, all the way out, quarter turn in. That is rock solid. I have no idea how many rounds are through this. I have no idea how old this is. I have no idea how abused this is. A couple of little love marks over here, but this thing is rock solid. Threads are nice and fine like they are in most magnifiers. No weird sounds or weird feelings. Easy enough to turn, easy enough to grab. It's okay. Fast focus eyepieces are, for some people they're a pro, for some people they're a con. But this one seems fine. At least it's nice and tight. Requires a decent amount of effort to turn, so it's not like you have to worry about this thing loosening up on you over time. And well, that's really it. Now, as far as the only other two adjustable things on here, we have the elevation and we have the windage. These caps on the outside are just caps on the outside. These don't turn, which is nice, but I thought it would be a locking feature for the actual turrets, and it's not. It's just a guard for it. I guess they wanted this to come up a little bit more out of the body. Maybe they just didn't have enough threads because, again, this is a very low profile magnifier. So whatever the case is, these don't do anything other than probably guard the erectors, as well as probably give it a little bit of threading and extra sealing, so this way they could actually have adjusters on this that work properly. Using a Holosun tool on a Burris magnifier, hopefully this thing doesn't explode, but let's listen for any clicks. There are no clicks. This is very easy to turn. This requires almost no effort. Let's see if the windage is any better. The windage is not any better. Okay, that's it. I'm fine with this not having a detent because it honestly doesn't really need it. I would, however, like these turrets to be a little bit tighter. Again, I thought this would be like a lock that you could turn, but it just isn't. I guess it'll be okay, but time will tell. I'll ask the owner if he's had this thing shift on him under recoil or under distress, because, I mean, you've seen it already, but let's do it again. There is very, very little resistance on those turrets. But that's it. It's fairly small. It's very streamlined. It's fairly lightweight. It's got a good feel about it otherwise, with the exception of just the loose turrets. But let's get behind this thing and see if it's actually worth the $230 that this thing can probably be found for. Well, I'm delighted to say that the owner never had a problem with this thing losing zero, and neither did I. And thinking about it long and hard, this is significantly harder to turn than the turrets on any of the G30, G33, or G45 magnifier options from Eotech, because those are just finger tight. At least this, I had a lot more leverage on the tool to turn it, and I never had a problem with it. And I do like the fact that they are recessed to prevent the erectors from getting damaged. So kudos for you, Burris. Anyway, let's flip this thing up and in and see what we've got. With the Unity mount being locked in place, we have the eye relief set at about 2.5 inches, and we have a wonderful 44-foot field of view. That is quite large for a 3x magnifier like this. The eye relief at 2.5 inches is completely standard, and something that I like to see. I don't like it when it's too close to your eye, because then it just obscures everything, and you might as well just run a prism at that point. Cropping the image a little bit, you can see we have a wonderful looking image here. Everything from that 30-yard telephone pole to the 900-yard power tower seems to be in focus, and as I pan across, there is no distortion that I see to the image, which is, again, very nice to see. There's only very few magnifiers that I've ever seen noticeable distortion in the form of fisheye, namely going to be the Trijicon 3X was probably the worst, but it still wasn't so bad that I would not go with that optic. But there's reasons for why I would go with it that trump the reasons why I wouldn't go over it, and maybe we'll talk about that in just a moment. But let's continue right along with the Burris. These are made in China from everything that I could find, and they were sold with and without the mount. So the $230 that I had mentioned earlier could have been with the mount, which makes it a very compelling argument, especially when you're considering that the Holosun HM3X is also about that $200 price point, and might not be as good in some areas. But again, we'll talk on that soon. Before that, however, we need to see how well this thing performs with a red dot in front of it. So, without further ado, the Trijicon Tri-Power. Both the Trijicon and the Burris were sent to me by the same individual. Both of them were in Unity mounts. Both Unity mounts are set for 2.26 inches, which is the norm for their full to center magnifier mount, which you can get in both standard 2-bolt patterns and 30mm tube mounts as seen here. And for the Unity mount for the red dot, they offer it in a variety of different mounting options. So if you're a bigger guy and you're looking for a higher cheek weld on your AR, definitely check out the Unity stuff. It was very nice. As far as how the AR tripler magnified the Tri-Power, yeah, both of these have Tri in their names. It's a little hard for me to remember which is which. It looks really good. As far as the glass on the Tri-Power itself, it does have a slight blue tint, and that chevron is gigantic. So it magnifies it quite well because the image is still pretty sharp and clear. That means that both the magnifier and the optic in front are made well enough that where you're not going to have crazy optical distortions when you're looking through both of them. That shadowing off to the right-hand side was actually from the Zero looking through the Trijicon. I don't know why it was so off, but I didn't want to touch it. But other than that, the Burris magnified everything perfectly fine. On a different day, at a different time, I decided to run other optics in front of this because I needed a little bit of a riser because, again, this magnifier is at a 2.26 inch height mount, and it's not going to line up with all my other red dots. I don't have, unfortunately, risers for every size to make everything perfect, so I had to improvise. We are going to start with the Holosun 512 Gold Dot, which is an optic that I do love and cherish, even though I sold it, because I am on to bigger and better things right now. But if you do have a Holosun 512, you can see that, again, the Burris AR tripler has no problem magnifying it, and the reticle and the image both look really good, despite the fact that there is some heavy blue tinting, but that is just indicative of what the 512 looks like normally. You do see a little bit of bars on top and bottom from looking through the 512, but it was still a completely usable image. Next up is going to be the Lead and Steel LP1. This is another mailbox style red dot, and people might say they don't like it, but the glass on this thing is really, really good, and the reticle is very sharp and clear. Under 3x magnification here, there's no issues to speak of with how the Burris magnifies, again, both the glass and the reticle on this LP1. It looks really, really good to my eye and is a wonderful combination if you're looking for an enclosed red dot sight for your AR, let's say. If you want to go holographic, there's only one choice for you that we could really speak of, and that's going to be Eotech. But if you don't mind running a red dot, or if you need a red dot for whatever reason, maybe holographics look wonky to your eye, then something like the LP1 might be a good choice for you. And again, the Burris AR tripler magnifies it perfectly fine. Unfortunately, not every optic you put in front of a magnifier is going to be peaches and cream. To give you a perfect case in point, the Holosun 403C, for whatever reason, does not look good under other magnifiers other than the HM3X. As you clearly saw before I put the red dot in place, the optics were perfectly fine tuned to have a perfect image, but you put the 403C in front of it, and it looks like this. I try adjusting the camera, I try adjusting the magnifier, but this is as good as it gets unless you change the diopter on the magnifier, which you should not be needing to do. You can do it and get a better view through it, but there's something optically flawed with the 403C that I have. To make a very stark contrast, here's another Holosun product. It's actually an EPS, and look at how much better that looks immediately. So, what we take away from this, the Burris AR Tripler magnifies things extremely well, and you can still look through objects as small as the Holosun EPS and still get a wonderful, clear, full-sized image looking through it. It really is, so far, shaping up to be a pretty damn good magnifier. Low light performance might not mean much to you, but if you ever plan on shooting this thing in anything other than a bright sunny day, it will matter a lot. As you can see, we have a thunderstorm rolling through, and we already have a good amount of light that's been lost, but flipping up the magnifier to my eye, both in camera and to what I saw naked with my eye, it did seem like it lost a fair amount of brightness looking through it. Now, I could not find the exit pupil specs on this, so I don't really know exactly how large it is. I was still able to look through it pretty good, so I'd imagine that it's at least 4 or 5 millimeter, because if it's any smaller than that, it's going to be really hard for my eye to look through it. But it just seems to lose a good bit of light transparency through this thing in lower light environments. So take that for what it's worth. It might mean a lot to you, it might not, but it's something to take note of. Another area where this thing performed well, not great, but well, is with the Eyebox. It's got a standard eye relief of 2.5 inches, which I find is about the average across the entire board. I do not know about the exit pupil size. It's kind of hard to tell, but I'd imagine it's around 5 or 6 millimeter or so. And we have an okay performance getting behind it, but it does seem a little on the snug side. With that, let's get into some comparisons. And the first one is going to be with the Eotech G30. This is now discontinued, just like the Burris AR Tripler, which is just funny. It's just like everything I touch is just discontinued. But maybe I'll start my channel and just do only discontinued and old optics. Maybe. Anyway, you can find these new-ish for around $300 or less. You can find Burris AR Triplers used for about $100 with or without a mount sometimes, which is so far I think a really good price. Eye relief on the AR Tripler is going to be 2.5. On the G30 is going to be about 2.2. Length on both of them are going to be about 4 inches. Field of view is going to be big difference, though. On the AR Tripler, you get 44 feet. On the G30, you get 38.3 feet. That is pretty significant. As far as the glass clarity on both of them, they're both good. The G30 is actually a pretty clear looking optic. Optically, it's very similar to the G33, which is an all-American made optic, where the G30 is made in China. Panning across the trees, you can see that both of them have fairly flat images. These are both cropped to the same size, and they're fairly similar looking through them, but the AR Tripler still manages to have a little bit more field of view. As far as the adjustments on the G30, some people really like having the QD erectors being exposed like that. I am not the biggest fan in the slightest, and I just don't see why someone would need to have that be a thing. Okay, so you swap your magnifier from one gun to another, rather, behind multiple different optics, let's say, and maybe your zeros shift a little bit, but is it really that much to warrant having turrets that might just, I don't know, get loosed on you and just turn wildly and then throw your zero off? I don't get it, but people do. Trijicon Tri-Power to the left, Strike Fire 2 to the right. Both of them are magnified very wonderful. The reticle on both of them are very clear, and the image through both the magnifier and the optics in front are very, very good. The G30, I have to say, I liked how it was optically. I hated the non-tilt-away QD mount on it. The mount was the biggest POS on the planet, and it would honestly need to be replaced immediately. It was a standard 2-bolt mount, so you could get other mounts for it. Maybe you already had one, but I'd rather spend $200 on just the optic itself and then buy whatever mount I chose. With the G30, you were forced to have this really shitty mount, and I think that's part of the reason why they might have discontinued the line, as well as who wants to buy Chinese stuff from a company that wants to have all their stuff be either Japanese or American. Can't say I blame them. With both of them having the 512 in front of them, the AR Tripler actually looked a lot better, but
optically, they both perform really well as far as magnifying optics. With the G30 off to the right, a quick turn of the knob, everything shifts wildly. It wasn't the best. And between these two, which one would I pick? Honestly, I'd pick the AR Tripler every single time. It's significantly less expensive, even in the used market. Well, more specifically in the used market, but it's just better. It's an ounce lighter. It's got better eye relief. It's got better field of view, and it's just smaller and lighter, and it's just better. Battle of the budget 3x magnifiers. On the right, we're going to have the Holosun HM3X, which is something that I've recommended to a lot of people, and when you find them for sub $200, they are a very compelling argument. The problem is they have a proprietary mounting 2-bolt setup on this, which forces you to run the mount that comes with it and only the mount that comes with it. Even though they are fairly popular and a lot of people run them, no one has come out with an aftermarket mount for it yet, and I don't know if they will. I mean, if you were to just make an adapter plate to go between the two, maybe, but why would you spend extra money on that when you can buy something like a Trijicon 3X that has a better mount and has a standard footprint, and it's smaller and lighter and just better? Yeah, it's going to cost about twice the price of this, but at least it's made in the Philippines, not in China. Playing around with the eye relief on the HM3X, it's pretty close to what you would find on the AR Tripler. As far as the weight, they're both very close, about an ounce between the two. Eye relief, though, on the HMX3X is going to be an extra 1/4 inch farther forward. So if you're looking for a little bit more eye relief, the HM3X is going to be probably a better option for you. They're both the exact same length. They're both basically 4 inches, but that extra 1/4 inch of eye relief on the Holosun changes the field of view dramatically. We have 44 feet for the AR Tripler, only 36.7 feet for the HM3X. Now, this could have some pros and cons, believe it or not. If you don't like having the bars, let's say if you're looking through some smaller optics, even though the AR Tripler has proven itself already to look through an EPS perfectly fine, and that's about as small as you can get. But sometimes on some optics, you might have bars or dark sides on top and bottom. Something like the HM3X with having a smaller field of view might eliminate some of that. Does it sound like I'm coming up with excuses for the HM3X? It does, and it's unfortunate, but I would take the AR Tripler over the HM3X. And that's pretty wild. That's very, very wild. Next up, the Trijicon 3X. This is a much more expensive option. This is a $400 optic, but it's the only one here made in the Philippines. It comes with a standard 2-bolt mount, and it comes with the same mount that you find on all of the higher-end Eotech products, as well as most flip-to-side magnifiers on the market. It's a great little mount, and this is a great little magnifier. The reason why you buy this is it's significantly smaller and lighter than most of the competition. It's also got a little bit more eye relief than the AR Tripler at 2.6 inches, but you can see here that the view looking through it is going to be smaller than what we see again with the AR Tripler. We do, however, have a much shorter body on the Trijicon. It is 1 inch shorter, and the overall weight on just the body itself is 6.5 ounces, so pretty close to the AR Tripler. I do like the mounting setup for the Trijicon. I do like how well it's built. I do like the eye relief. 2.6 inches is pretty nice, and it still managed to have a decent field of view at 37.5 feet, but still it is trumped by comparison to the 44 feet claimed by the AR Tripler. And it's just outclassed in some regards to the AR Tripler. But I still really do like the Trijicon 3X. I think it's a nice, neat little package. If you're looking for something on the micro side of things that's as small as possible, the Trijicon is really hard to beat. But this AR Tripler is really, really impressive. I don't know why they discontinued it. It completely befuddles me. Getting my hands on it, using it, it's really, really, really nice. Not just nice, it's really, really nice. If this thing was still being produced today and it was $200 with a mount, it would be hands down the one I would start recommending to people because it just performs all of its tasks really, really well. Sure, in low light environments, it might not be perfect, but no 3X optic, whether it's a prism, a magnifier, a 3x bottom end on a variable powered scope is going to be perfect as far as 100% light transparency. Here between these two, both of them have pretty good images, and as much as I like the Trijicon, I think I gotta give it to the AR tripler yet again. It just seems to have a little bit more sharpness to the edge, and it just has a little bit better color palette. Truth be told, when I first got my hands on this, when it came inside the box alongside the Trijicon Tri-Power, I said to myself, oh boy, 2 discontinued optics, how good could they be? Well, the Tri-Power turned out to be really, really nice and impressive, and so did this AR tripler. This thing completely blew away my expectations of what a small, lightweight, slim-profiled 3x magnifier could be. Now, could it be very fragile and not withstand the test of time? Let's say if you were to throw it off the back of a truck at highway speeds. I don't really know. I don't know if anyone would really know. But optically, this thing is an absolute peach. The eye relief, the field of view, the view looking through it, everything is extremely, extremely high on this. It scores extremely well. Maybe it doesn't let all the light through in lower light environments, but no 3X is. Truth be told, I'm really impressed by this thing. And I really wish that Burris would come out with a Gen 3 magnifier to supersede this that would somehow still manage to improve upon it. Maybe have it made in the Philippines or the US and have it cost $400 or $500. That would be swell. I don't know why they discontinued it. I don't know why companies do the things that they do. I'm still questioning that every single time that I pick up a more modern MPVO and wonder why all the reticles suck for the magnification range, but they will do what they do, and I will continue doing what I do. I am very thankful, very, very thankful for the individual that sent this in, because it opened my eyes to the possibility of there being other great magnifiers like this out there that I still have yet to get my hands on. So what does that mean? Well, hopefully I'll be able to get my hands on other options like this to find out if they are viable options or not for all of you. Or maybe I'll just start asking companies to send their stuff in for me for review, even though that has not been bearing fruit all that much, because I guess companies don't like it when they can't pay for a review. I'm not going to give something a good glowing review unless it's worth it. So with that, a huge thank you for all of you for watching, and as always, see you again next time. And a huge thank you to my Patreon providers and my Subscribe subscribers. Without you, this truly wouldn't be possible. If you'd like to support my channel but don't want to join either of those, I completely understand. But you could still help by using my affiliate links in the description below, and or like, share, and subscribe as always. Again, thank you very much.